And he said, come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, Lord, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him and said unto him, O thou of little faith, where didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Then they were in the ship, came and worshipped him, saying, of a truth, thou art the Son of God. The word of God for the people of God. If you don't mind, I want to preach from the subject this morning, get out of your boat mentality.
All right.
Get out of your boat mentality. It has been 100 years now. Actually, just about a week ago, it's been 100 years since the sinking of a ship that they said could never be sunk. Scientifically, they said it's the greatest sailing ship in the world, which had 16 watertight compartments, and said that not even God himself could sink her. But that awful night, they ran into an iceberg. If you've ever been on a cruise ship, the first thing they do before leaving port is they do the lifeboat drill. And my brothers and sisters, it would behoove you to know that there were over 2,000 souls on board the Titanic, but only 713 were rescued. They refused to get out of the boat. There's life when you get out of the boat. I'll say that again. There is life when you get out of the boat. We find ourselves here in the text after Jesus had wrought one of the greatest miracles that we know of. Here Jesus had been preaching and teaching and healing the sick. But the evening was come and the hour was late, so the disciples came to him saying, Jesus, send them home back to the villages so that they may eat supper. But Jesus here says there's no need to dismiss them. But the disciples said, but Jesus, we only have 5 fish and 2 loaves of bread. Jesus realizes this and says, but don't worry about it. Have the people to sit down in the grass. He takes the 5 loaves and 2 fish and he breaks the bread and he lifts his head towards heaven in prayer. And then he gave the bread to the disciples. And my brothers and sisters, the word tells me that he fed 5,000, not to include the women and children. I'm reminded of another time where that awful night when Jesus was in the upper room and he break bread again saying, take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. And I'm glad that because when Jesus begins to break things, things begin to happen. Things begin to multiply in your life. When you break something, you have more than what you started with. If you break something, you've got 2 pieces instead of 1. So when some things begin to break in your life, realize that God is getting ready to multiply you. So we see here in the text that after this miracle had been wrought, that Jesus constrains the disciples to push out to sea ahead of them. Normally he was in the boat with them, but this time he says, go on ahead of me. John's account tells the reason that Jesus sent them away in a hurry was because after he had done this miracle with the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish, that they were going to take him by force and make him a king. A few things I want you to see here in the text is, first thing we see is Jesus' position. After he's sends the multitude away and the disciples out to sea, he separates from the crowd and his disciples. First thing I want you to see is that he goes into a solitary place. My brothers and sisters, it will be good for us to realize that too many times we are not hearing from God and what he has to say to us because our area is too